Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? I want to talk about a couple things about how we can get ourselves more into the Bible instead of being sidetracked through all different types of man's and the worldly things that we have to go through and endure and be a part of because here we are, we're physically on the earth. But how can we not be a part of and take part of the evil sins that man constantly has, oh, well, gets tricked. Man gets tricked. I'm going to change even the direction I was going to say that sentence. Man gets tricked so easily and by the deceiver, the great liar, by the devil, Satan, the ruler of this physical earth plane. God made this earth, but when Satan and his army of angels rebelled against God and fell to the earth, God let the earth be his domain. And because we come from, our parents were sinners, the original sinners, Adam and Eve. They had two children. One of the children murdered the other one before they had children. So we all come from, our grandparents were sinners, the original sinners, and their offspring had children, Cain, and we all come from that line of murder. So we're all sinners. We come from that lineage. And we're trying to fight to break free of the chains of the sins of our fathers. Not that we're held responsible for them, but if our fathers are in sin and do not know, and then teach it to their children do not know that they're living in sin. Correct? And this is a blueprint Bible showing how to stay away from the devil's schemes and exposes Satan. Many other different things. But I am coming on that angle to show and talk about the many different tricks that the devil uses here on earth and how it's done. Now, I just had a couple minutes on Twitter earlier. Was it today or last night, yesterday? Probably both for a couple minutes. And I saw something that was quite interesting, and I hadn't seen it before. But I talk about etymology a bit and how we as people don't understand the words that we use and how witchcraft works. And we, as I repeat, we're all sinners. And it's so easy for us to sit there and throw darts and point fingers and say, oh, that person does this, and I, haven't been caught doing that. So let's hang those guys. Let's persecute those people or whatever. But we know that just thinking about these things is the sin itself. The act doesn't even have to be carried out. If we revel and enjoy the thought of even it, the act of the sin itself is just as good as, or bad, as carrying the act out. And what do I mean by that? How is that possible? Well, one of the commandments is to not covet your neighbor's wife. And covet doesn't necessarily mean that you have to physically have carnal knowledge with your neighbor's wife. It means don't lust after her. Don't lust after women. Don't lust after sexual needs. Don't lust after sexual needs. And this is something that if we didn't have sexual lust, the earth would never populate itself. It's how it works, I mean, young people's hormones are out of control. Therefore, we have a lot of children because of the way it's set up. The older we get, not so many children being born for many factors and reasons, correct? So here's something that we all are familiar with: sexual thoughts. Sexual thoughts. And it's so easy for us to sit there and say, ooh, those people over there, they're sexual. I'm going to use the word demons. You'll see why here in a minute. Their sexual demons are so deep and dark and evil. Luckily, mine aren't. Luckily, I just think about this stuff. But those people over there, look at them. They're so terrible. Their sexual demons overrule them. And we can actually see this on the streets. People being sexually possessed by demons. You know, I mean, it's weird how you go to certain cities as San Francisco, go there during their Gay Pride Month and go see a parade. And it's just, oh my goodness. If you don't think aren't seeing demon possessed people, I'm not saying all of them, or most people are probably even unaware of those things even exist. That demons exist. They scoff and say it's not true. As we learned listening to Michael the other day, he was telling us that the word demon is a man-made up word, and that the word demon is not even in the Bible, which I found kind of, interesting. But I saw on Twitter, and that's what brings up the word demon, and why we're talking about sexual demons and how we all experience sexuality thoughts. And we have to control those at all times. Otherwise, it becomes something that's just, and we've all been there. We've all had, our hormones, I'm just using that as the example of it being so overly in our body that we do things and then we'll sit there and say, oh, it was because of, well, sometimes even people say the devil made me do it, right? Sexual demons. Sexual demons. How do we fight sexual demons? Usually the people will sit there, like I said, we just point, hey, look at those people. It's not me that does it, because they're doing different than what I do. But we all have thoughts, and we probably have all thought some of the same thoughts at some point in time in our lives, and yet pretend like they don't ever, ever, ever come across our heads. And then we act on them and then sit there and say, oh, ignore it or pretend like it didn't happen or be embarrassed, whatever the case is. But how can evil use sexual demons and just really kind of wrap up something? So if we have pride, how is that? Pride month, Month, in October, right? In October, from 1 to the 31st is Pride Month, Gay Pride Month. And we know that Halloween is in October, which celebrates demons and goblins and witches. And right? Don't people dress up like that and then dress up in all their favorite sexual activities and outfits and let loose and say that I'm allowed to do it because we all get to dress however we want. And we see people dressing the way they want it. There they are, they're dressed like they want. Now, Pride Month, no big deal, right? I talk about etymology and how they use words and how they trick people without people realizing it, and how we will even support things without realizing what we're supporting. What's in the middle of Pride Month? D-E-M-O-N. Demon. In the middle of Pride Month, there is a demon hiding. And it's called sexual deviance, sexual... Ugh. So please be aware of your mind, your thoughts, and how it works, and how words work, and how they trick us. Stay away from just all the news media.